With your latest news, I'm April Cummings. We have the results from 702 COVID-19 tests since our last report on Friday. The chief medical officer says there were 12 positives in travelers, about half found in travelers on arrival, and the other half when screened on exit from quarantine. All will remain in isolation until considered fully recovered. The total number of people in isolation right now, either at a government facility or in their homes as required by the medical officer of health, is at 792. Saturday's COVID-19 vaccination drive saw more than 1,100 vaccines. Health officials say 734 people got their first dose, 404 their second. The event at Owen Roberts International Airport was focused on encouraging people to get the vaccine before the current supply of Pfizer-BioNTech product expires. To date, 71,807 vaccines have been administered, and 59% have had at least one dose. 51% of the population has completed the two-dose course. Chief Medical Officer Dr. John Lee, meantime, says health officials are keeping a close eye on the latest vaccine developments.
It is really great news that Health Canada have now approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for use in 12 to 16-year-olds. But here in Cayman, we are working very closely with Public Health England and the UK government, and we have been provided with vaccines as a result of an agreement with them. And when they have said it's okay for us to go ahead, we will consider vaccinating that group. I'm hoping that will be as soon as possible.
At last week's press briefing, Dr. Lee said it was not clear yet when that will happen, but in the meantime is encouraging those who are eligible, that's anyone over the age of 16, to take the vaccines the islands already have. Government has been heavily pushing the public to take the remaining stock received from the UK, which expires at the end of June. So people would need to have the first of their two doses by June 9th. The latest schedule for vaccinations has been released by Public Health, increasing evening hours and adding more locations for those who want to get the vaccine. HSA Chief Nursing Officer Dr. Hazel Brown.
High levels of vaccine coverage are the best defense against the re-entry of COVID-19 into our shores once the borders reopen. So come out, protect yourself, your family, and our entire community against COVID-19.
And remember, to get the vaccine, you will need to have a photo ID with your date of birth on it. Face masks are required. And if it is your second vaccine, make sure you bring your vaccination card with you. Health officials also are issuing a reminder not to laminate your vaccination card. For the most up-to-date schedule, you can check out hsa.ky. Public Works and the National Roads Authority's staff try to get ahead of the hurricane season with the annual preparation exercise. More than 170 personnel fanned out across Grand Cayman. Their job to inspect 97 government buildings for hurricane preparedness ahead of the season, which of course starts on June 1st. There are 15 purpose-built hurricane shelters, and crews said they are ready and available if needed. Teams tested for overall readiness. They shuttered up key government buildings and shelters and checked and started standby generators. They also verified that cistern water levels are at an acceptable level in state. Another key part of the job, inspections to certify that the shuttered buildings are secured properly. This exercise replicates the activities that will take place in the event of a real hurricane. The established standard for the exercise is to be complete within 6 hours, and this year it took 5 hours and 10 minutes. A focus on young authors is coming up this weekend as the team at CLM Publish pairs up with the library service to host another free creative writing workshop.
Just want to encourage them to, work with your imagination. It takes you far. Put it into writing and get it going. That's the idea of the workshop.
Owner of CLM Publishing, Karen Chin, tells Radio Cayman the event is part of Saturday's Fun to Mental event at the Georgetown Library. She says the event is designed to teach young people they absolutely can become published authors.
A lot of parents have a lot of notes from kids. Oh, my children wrote this, or my daughter wrote this when she was in year 2 or year 5 or so on. They're trying to tell you they want to be a writer. So encourage it from then. They will continue to, see that it's a worthy cause to continue to share words.
The workshop comes on the heels of part 1 of the series on May 1st for kids between the ages of 12 and 17. But anyone can join in for part 2. If you'd like to register, email caymanyoungwriters@gmail.com. An effort to protect an endemic species is marked as a success by the team at the Department of Environment. Radio Cayman's Dion Anglin has the details.
A recent article in Flickr magazine says the Cayman Parrot Sanctuary has seen positive results since opening in 2018. The East End attraction features conservation efforts of Cayman's national bird, the Cayman parrot. The sanctuary was established as a partnership between the DOE and sanctuary owner Ron Hargrave. Staff at the site and DOE members work to receive and rehabilitate Cayman parrots. The DOE says each parrot receives the, quote, highest standard of care tailored to their individual needs through careful coordination and access to expert advice and veterinary treatment. A total of 28 birds have been through the sanctuary, and so far 17 have been successfully released back into the wild. This includes parrots that were illegally poached, birds that had collided with cars and suffered broken wings, birds that had been abandoned or found in emaciated conditions, and birds with concussions that had fallen from their nests. In April, the sanctuary was housing 11 parrots, with at least 3 pending release in the near future. The pre-release conditions include dietary transition to wild food, flight training to strengthen wing muscles, and socialization with other parrots. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Dion Anglin.
The Cayman parrot is protected by law, and should you encounter a parrot in need, you're encouraged to call the DOE. The number is 949-8469. This Saturday, May 8th, we saw the first ever International Blue Iguana Day, and Radio Cayman's Felicia Rankin-Solins was there.
China has the panda, Australia has kangaroos, and Grand Cayman, we have the blue iguana. Terrestrial Resource Manager at the Department of Environment, Fred Burton, discusses the positive impact of our native reptiles.
If you think about how important blue iguanas are, just think about things that have happened really quite recently. There's been an article in National Geographic about it. There's been a film made called Blue Iguana. Where would that have come from if we didn't have this animal here? There's a shop in town called the Blue Iguana Souvenir Outlet. You know, there's no question Cayman is identifying with this animal. It is authentically and uniquely a Caymanian thing.
Operations Manager at the Blue Iguana Conservation, Luke Harding, explains why it's fitting for these endemic creatures to be celebrated internationally.
But the reason why international is it wasn't a standalone effort. So obviously it was spearheaded and still very much is by Fred, but we've been very fortunate. There's been a lot of international contribution and partners of expertise, of specialisms, from San Diego Zoo looking at the studbucks and helping us, from WCS or the Bronx Zoo in New York who did our veterinary work for over 20 years, and so many countless individuals. We really wanted to capture that in this day.
Though the iguanas' numbers have gone from 20 to 1,000, the work is not over, and the day dedicated to them will hopefully serve as a reminder of their importance.
It's a remarkable achievement. It's not defined yet as a success because the blue iguanas will be conservation dependent for a long time to come, maybe indefinitely. So it's important that the island doesn't lose focus. We've got to stay committed and people need to stay engaged. So I'm hoping it encourages pride that maybe iguanas aren't your thing, but actually if it's something that highlights Cayman in a positive light, if it's something that can bring support and funding and tourism to the island, why not save that and support it?
For Radio Cayman News, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
To learn more about blue iguana conservation, visit nationaltrust.org.ky. That is your latest local news from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.